that team was gonna crumble, and basically he wanted to get out of there before it all crumbled. And I respect it. Like, hey, you promised me this. This didn't happen. I gave you some years. I'm ready to go. Like, it's over.
Now,
that is
a perfect. Oh, go ahead. Let you finish.
Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say that's a perfect segue into Anthony Davis. He makes a comment and said, "I've given everything I can for this city. It's my time." You can't fault the guy. Like we fault people for don't being honest and don't saying what they feel. The dude just said, "I gave what I wanted. I gave everything I gave to the city. It's my time." Now I didn't read the comment with his dad, and I don't know fully what he said, but I guess to the extent that he didn't think going to the Celtics was a good idea, or he didn't like the Celtics, or something to that nature.
Yeah.
But talk about AD. Is he going to the Lakers? In your opinion?
It's gonna be interesting to see. I don't think that New Orleans trades him to the Lakers, especially after the trade offer that I saw that the Lakers gave. Like, I mean, it was a terrible offer. It was a terrible offer, and Magic, you could tell that Magic is playing checkers right now. He's trying to play checkers with them. And so with that being said, I respect Anthony Davis' feelings about the situation. He's like, yo, I put the work in, things like that. I've tried. We haven't got it done. But it's hard for me to get behind him forcing a trade to the Lakers. It is hard for me to get behind him forcing a trade to the Lakers. And we saw this coming. I think we talked about this months ago when Anthony Davis signed Rich Paul as his agent. I was like, okay, he was supposed to be re-signed. He said he was re-upping with New Orleans, but he just re-signed. He signed Rich Paul, and Rich Paul is LeBron's boy. He might be trying to get to the Lakers. LeBron is trying to recruit him. Like, I said that then, and it's happening now, right? So, I don't feel for him in that aspect of, like, New Orleans going to do what's best for them. They're not going to do what's best for AD. And AD, what might be best for AD is for AD to go to the Lakers. That possibly might be his best decision. I think so, because when you look at AD and his star power, he's in a small market. He's not getting that exposure that he should be getting. He's not getting it. And he's a great player. I mean, he's the top 5 player in the league, but a lot of people don't even discuss AD. His ability to play defense, his ability to score, all those things is pretty much unmatched. There's few players that can do what he does on the court. So he doesn't get the exposure that he gets because he's in New Orleans. It reminds me of like, and he can't get through the playoffs. Like, if he made it to like the finals or something, he would get that exposure, sort of like Dwight Howard got his exposure when Orlando made it to the finals. When Shaq, another big man, made it to the finals in Orlando, and he ended up in LA. Like, if you're in a small market, the way for you to get that real exposure, you got to make it to a finals. You got to make it to like a championship game, right? And really get that exposure. He hasn't got that exposure. He hasn't got those big contracts. He's not getting those endorsements, those things like that. If he goes to LA, like, everything kind of like comes to him, right? It comes to him. It makes him like a centerpiece for an organization, like a big market organization where they can really recruit. So, for him, that's a good move. But New Orleans is not sending him to Lakers for, I think, like I said, the first offer was Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo, I think it was like a first-round pick and somebody else, and Michael Beasley. Man, I know New Orleans hung up the phone real quick. They just was like, click.
Well, the dude stopped answering the phone. It was like,
yeah.
He must have blocked his number. Now, I agree with a comment here. Mo Cheese says you got to start low, knowing that AD wants to be a Laker. Maybe you push the chips in at the last moment. Now, also, I would say I believe the trade has been revised to Ingram, Kuzma, Ball. Who was the other guy going to be? Ingram, Kuzma, Ball, and somebody else, maybe Beasley, and Zubac, right? And a pick. Now, to me, that's a great deal. I don't understand how you could turn that one down.
Well, see, I don't know if it's been revised to that. I believe that New Orleans said that was the starting point.
Oh,
like
right,
that's what's gonna get us to the table. You put all four of them and the first round pick on the table, and we'll start talking to you.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. That was their offer, or their offer to the Lakers of what we need to talk about. Right.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, we don't need to talk. Like, and I agree. I mean, when you look at that trade, you look at that first trade offer. I mean, Ball is injured. Kuzma looks solid. He's like he's going to be a solid player, but that's all you're getting. Rajon Rondo and Beasley are on 1-year contracts. They're going at the end of the season. So who are you trying to play? Like, you really trying to play as Magic? Like, come on. So, I mean, they hung up the phone. But, and I heard you just say somebody was like, you got to start off low. You got to put your chips in, at the end. Well, guess what? They got a week to push their chips in, right? Because in a couple of weeks, the trade deadline comes and it goes. And the whole field is now open. The whole field is now open for everybody to trade. I've been saying this personally because I think that this might possibly happen. I think that the Washington Wizards might try to make a run at AD at the end of the season.
Really?
Especially with the way that they're playing. They're not in a playoff spot right now. You have the issue with John Wall, with Bradley Beal, and with Otto Porter. They can't play together. They haven't been able to play together. I think that at this point, it's time to now break that talent up and figure out which player you want to build around. You got to build around one player. Can't keep all three because they can't play together. So I see that I can see Washington trying to make a bid for AD and see if they can convince AD to stay in Washington.
Now that would be interesting if they're able to do that. I don't know. Now the offer that they may get could be very appealing, depending on who's all in it. I mean, if you have Wall, Beal, and Otto Porter, and a pick, I mean that's almost equal to what they would be wanting from the Lakers. But I'm wondering too, if they don't make this trade, how is the rest of this season going to pan out? I mean, you're going to have Anthony Davis, who's already said he doesn't want to be on the team. So it's almost like you need to make this deal so you can move on with your lives. Because if you don't, you're going to have the second half of the season where that's all they're going to talk about. That's all that's going to be asked to all these other players. And then it's like, who's other people on those teams, other people on the Pelicans, who's going to be playing to their full potential knowing that they don't have AD after this year? And maybe they may not, maybe they may block it all out and maybe it wouldn't bother them or whatever. But you got to think in the back of your mind, like, we don't have this guy beyond this year. What's the purpose of me putting everything I got on the line for this year, knowing that we're probably not going to win anything anyway?
Well, I mean, were they going to win anything with AD?
Yeah,
I mean, you wasn't going to win anything with AD. Let's be real. Like, you wasn't going to win anything with AD right now. That team, I think that losing Rondo and swapping Rondo off of Eldridge Payton wasn't really a good decision. But I will say that that you have to sit AD down. You have to either get a offer that blows you out of the water right now to trade him, or you wait into the off season, and when the off season comes, you now have the ability to decide like what looks appealing, right? So you have your draft picks, you have teams that are trying to who might feel like, okay, I can get AD for a 1-year rental, make a shot at a title, or maybe I can get AD to convince AD to stay here. Look at, a team like Portland, for example, probably putting up CJ, to try to get Anthony Davis, those teams, those contender teams, or those teams who are playoff teams who are looking for that one player that needs that one player to get them over the top, or they feel they need that one player to get them over the top. That's when it opens up in the offseason. Throwing a pick in there with another player, et cetera. And like I said, this is a deep draft class, so those picks are going to be valued. If you can get, a couple picks for this draft class, a first and second rounder for this draft class, or a first rounder of this draft class and the next draft class, with a established player, established star player right now, you might be able to pry AD away from New Orleans. And then look at him going east too, because most teams won't trade in conference, right? Unless you are like literally tearing your team apart. If you tear your team apart for it, they might trade you in conference. Otherwise, they're not trading you in conference. So, especially a superstar talent like AD. So you can look at him probably going east, if anything.
Yeah. All right, so we got Tyjun Mack on the line. Another comment here: don't nobody want Wall and Bill. You just shipping the issue from the team, from that team from east to west.
well, that's what I said. You got to split them up. So you take one or the other. Either Wall, you can go Wall or Porter, or maybe Bill and Porter. But Washington's going to have to decide which one they want to build around, and the other two are probably going to get shipped out of there because Otto Porter is a selfish player. There's been rumors about him just not playing hard because he's not getting the amount of touches that he wants to get, and or he's not he's a third option there. He's not he's playing for stats type thing. So he's going to end up he has to leave, but we've already seen that Wall and Bill can't work together in the backcourt because they both need the ball in their hands too much. And so they just don't work well. The ball stops moving. I think the ball moves better with Bradley Beal facilitating than actually John Wall. So one of them two are going to move, whether it's Beal or John Wall, but they're going to be packaged with somebody else. They can be packaged with one of the with Morris, with Otto Porter, with somebody else, and possibly get shipped out with a pick as well for Anthony Davis.
Yeah. All right. So Super Bowl coming up tomorrow. Let's switch topics before I let you go. Super Bowl. Talk about break it down. Who do you think is going to win? What's the prediction? We got the Rams, and then we got old man Brady versus the young Jared Goff. So talk about how you think it's going to
go. For some reason, I have this feeling that the Rams is going to win. I like the Rams. I like the Rams' chances. I think their offense is explosive. I haven't been sold on the Patriots' defense in some years now. Their defense has not been a strong suit. I mean, of course, you got Tom Brady, who's just able to just cover up any issues that you may have on your team. But the defense hasn't been the same in some years, man. It just hasn't been well. And I think that the Rams can exploit this. They're a really, really balanced team with Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson in the backfield. They can throw the ball. They can push it down with Brandon Cooks. What's the Hybe, the tight end, and they move the ball. Yeah, Thigby, the tight end, and I think that the offense can put up enough points to win this game. And I also think that the Rams defense, that front four, one thing is key is when you play Tom Brady, you have to be able to get pressure with your front four. Your front three, front four. I think that the Rams line with Dante Fowler, of course, Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh, I think they can get pressure on Tom Brady. And if that's the case, those check downs get slowed down. The linebacker core is fast. They swarm to the ball. You got Marcus Peters on the back end with I can't think of the other corner right now.
Keep Talib.
Yeah, well, Keith Talib. I think that this secondary, this Rams team is built to be able to handle the short passing that New England does. They don't do a lot of double moves and things like that with their receivers. So you don't really have to worry about Marcus Peters, and they might try to do that because Marcus Peters likes to jump a lot of routes. So they might try to, but initially they don't really do a lot of double moves with their receivers and things like that. So you don't have to worry about Marcus Peters getting burnt on double moves on Sunday. So I gotta go with the Rams one.